Well, hello there, pilgrims. Welcome from Camino Frances in Belorado. I'm going to try to get into the shade a bit here so I can get a little bit of image. You may see behind me, we're in Belorado, which is just outside of, just after Santo Domingo. And I'm here with, we walked about 22 kilometers, I think, today from Santo Domingo. And so just here, been here most of the day, actually. Arrived pretty early, and you can see there we have a pool in the background. Hopefully you see that. There's not much else to see. The alberga that I'm staying in today is like outside of Belorado, just kind of outside of town. But it's got this beautiful pool and a great restaurant and bar and so on. So just kind of enjoying the Camino life today. But I did not get a chance. Last night I tried to live feed from Santo Domingo de la Calzada to have a chance to tell you, one, about just how my Camino is going, but also about that particular town. Santo Domingo is such an amazing town. I'm going to tell you later, and maybe you can just Google Santo Domingo de la Calzada. Is such a wonderful story, Camino story. It's a kind of a myth and a legend about what has happened there, but a great story. And so had a chance to talk about that. But unfortunately, the live feed is just not working, was not able to work from that town. And it looks like I've got a pretty good live feed here. If you will comment, Emily, go ahead and throw up my comment banner here. But if you comment now, I should be able to put your live questions right on the feed there. But it was been a great walk. And honestly, even just since I've talked with you as a part of our live feed from Logroño, I've already had a chance to meet so many wonderful pilgrims. I had a couple of Danish women who have spent a couple of lunches with and so on. They're just wonderful people, and young adults, like 20 somethings, that are like the students that I spend so much time with, that have been so wonderful. And last night, while I was in Santo Domingo, I had just a regular meal, but then after the meal, we went back to the alberga and we sat, and there was a whole bunch. There's a whole group of pilgrims from St. John that have walked together since St. John and since Roncesvalles. And just have such amazing, wonderful relationships. People from France and Italy and Hungary, and so many, obviously those from Denmark, the Danes that I've spent a couple of days walking with. So, such a wonderful experience of Camino community that's been happening. And if you'll notice, I don't know if I can show there, there's not much to see here because we're actually just outside of town. But this is the kind of pool that's at the alberga that we're staying at. This is Alberga a Santiago in Belorado. And so there's just a great opportunity to get to know folks here as well. That, this community that's been walking together since St. John are also together here at the alberga. So, a couple of things that I've noticed. A couple of you have asked questions about the accommodations and have the costs been higher. I would say that the costs have been just marginally higher. So I paid, normally if on Camino Frances, I've noticed that I paid about 10 or 12 euros for a bed on various stays on albergas and so on. But here, I think this year I've paid maybe on average about 14 or 15 euros. So it is a little higher. I know some of you are asking those questions about the cost of albergas and so on, and it has been a little higher. I think the Camino community, although there are a few Americans, so far I've met 3 Americans. I think I've told you about Roberto and Maria. Maria's from California, and then there's one pilgrim here from New York, and I have been walking with him and talking with him a bit as well. So there are a few Americans here, but on the whole, mostly the Americans are not in full force. So if you're from America, come on out to Camino de Santiago. I had some questions on the chat about whether there's challenges getting from St. John, get from Pamplona to St. John. So the first thing is, if once you get to once you get to St. John, there are no COVID restrictions getting into Roncesvalles. It's not like there's somebody out there at the border who is checking your COVID status and so on to get into Spain. I have not heard yet whether there is anybody checking the buses and taxis and other routes that you might get from Roncesvalles to St. John. Now, actually, if I find that out, and I'll ask a couple people, if I find out whether there's any restrictions on the buses and so on from Roncesvalles to St. John, whether that's bus or train or however you might get there. Usually, if you're going from like Pamplona to St. John, that's usually by bus. I'll update to here if I find out more about how that's going for folks. I'll just comment here in the comments. If you have any other questions, please just put them in the live comments here, and I'll throw those up on the feed and let you know as well. I have had such a wonderful experience. So I think I've mentioned already, I've met a couple of women from Denmark that have been, they're young adults. They're kind of the age group that I normally lead on Camino Frances, young adults that have been wonderful to get to know. And I met this Hungarian woman who was born in Ukraine, and got to know her. And I'll also, actually in my main videos, I'll tell you a little bit about Audrey. Audrey is a French pilgrim that had to leave yesterday in Santo Domingo, and I'll tell you a bit more about her in my sort of in the produced videos. But she had to go and had to leave, and so I think it's so valuable to be able to talk about what it means for us to come and build relationships here, and also to have to go, because whenever we build relationships on Camino, those relationships often go very quickly. So yeah, so far the experience has been wonderful. I'm thankful for the relationships that I've been able to build. And if you have any questions about how those relationships gone, that I'm glad to answer those. But I think the other thing to say is, if you are wondering about whether Camino is working for Americans, I had no problems in the airport. I've had no problems making reservations. I have made reservations for the most part each day, but I don't think that's necessarily required. Certainly some people are not making any reservations. I've been mostly making my reservations the day of for the next day, but it's not really necessary. So if you decide that you just want to come and walk, I think that for the most part that's probably okay. Just be okay that maybe you'll have to fight for a bed whenever you arrive. Wonderful day today. I walked about 22 kilometers from Santo Domingo to Belorado, and then the albergue that I'm staying in now is it's got a pool and a great restaurant and a great community of the pilgrims. Last night I got to talk and spend some time with the pilgrims here in Santo Domingo, most of them had spent the entire time together since since St. John. So many of them met in St. John, and they have continued to build relationships. So it's just been beautiful to get to see all that God is doing among them as well. So anyway, sorry that I was not able to provide a kind of an update from Camino yesterday, as the feed got challenging. If I'm not able to provide a live update in the future, I'm just going to go ahead and record a video like this, kind of an unproduced video, and then upload that to YouTube as well, so you can at least hear how things are going. But let me just tell you, if you are considering coming to Santiago, or sorry, if you're considering coming to Camino right now during the COVID season, there is no reason not to come. We've had a wonderful experience. I've gotten to know lots of people. The only thing I would say is don't expect there'll be a lot of Americans. I think I told you I met a couple of Americans. I met Roberto and Maria early on, and then I've met one other American who's from New York since I've been here. And so, not a lot of Americans, but of course, most Europeans speak English, and so have been a part of this little community that formed long before I got here. They formed on St. John, but I've gotten to the opportunity to be a part of them. So, anyway, I hope that you will, if you are considering that a possibility, that you'll go ahead and make the plans and make your way to Santiago. If you are, there were a couple people that had questions about the Spanish health app. I'll go ahead and I'll try to put a link in the description. It's a little hard for me to get some of the links in while I'm operating from my phone, but I'll put a link in the description to the Spanish health app. It's a very straightforward app. The application itself does not work very well. If you put the app on your phone, I've not been able to get it to work. I wasn't able to get it to work to send me a QR code, but I was able to go to the website, and that works just fine. To be able to get the QR code, it's very simple for Americans. You just go in and put your information in and able to get a QR code to arrive in America. As of right now, there's not even a requirement for you to be a Spanish, to have vaccination to come here to Spain. So you can just come along if you're in the United States. But by the way, just go get your vaccination, go get your shots. Makes things much easier. The last thing that I would say is really just a thank you for those of you that have subscribed. I think I've already said I've reached now 1,100 subscribers that are here, a part of this channel. And that is such an amazing gift to me to be able to, over the last 6 months or so, develop a community of those who are trying to get here to Santiago. And I'm really grateful for those of you that have already subscribed, and that makes this so much more fun for me. I will say that if you are looking forward to it, there's been some really magical Camino moments in the last couple days. For example, there's a group of pilgrims that had this sort of Camino song that they wrote over the last couple days, and they combined up with a musician along the road who helped them. It was actually a melody that came from a European children's song. I don't know the song because it's popular in Europe, but they have made that song into a song about Santiago, and then they enlisted this street musician who was just along the trail to be able to make that song. And I'm going to put that in the produced videos when I come later. Tried to put it on these live videos, and that just wasn't working. So anyway, I look forward to talking to you soon. If you leave comments to this video, I would make sure to respond to as many of them as I can. My reception is not wonderful out here, but I'll do my best to respond to as many of them as I can. With that, I look forward to updating you from Burgos. In about 2 days, I should be in Burgos, and I look forward to updating you from there and telling you a bit more about Camino. If you have any questions about how things are going on Camino Frances, put those in the comments, and I'll look forward to responding to them there, and I will see you soon. Buen Camino, pilgrims.